मनभेद नहीं होना चाहिए पर मतभेद चलता है बिजनेस में. So it sort of goes into that zone.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think in our case, it was exactly what you're saying.
On the day one itself, you realize that, okay, I have to be here and I might have to give up on my education. Was it something like that?
Because I was supposed to temporarily stay in the business and then go back to college, there were no real expectations, right? So I was there only to sort of learn and then help dad and then go back. A lot of people were persuading my father to send me back because they were like, if he's not educated, he'll not get married. So,
The journey of a second generation entrepreneurship is not just my journey, but there are many, many young entrepreneurs who are following similar paths. And this is why we bring to you the Keshav Konnect podcast. Today, we have Yogesh Chaudhary from Jaipur Rugs with me. Yogesh is the director at Jaipur Rugs, and he's also looking after at the international expansion and general business operations here. Thanks for joining me, Yogesh, on the Keshav Connect.
Absolutely. What a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you. So, Yogesh, I want to start by asking you the fundamental question of the second generation. Families and business, right? They're not two very separate things when you are in the family business, right? When you get into the business, there are certain dynamics which changes as you progress, right? Can you help me understand when you entered the business, how the dynamics of your relationships with your family members changed? What changed in the business, right? What sort of expectations were there for you when you were planning to enter into the business?
I accidentally joined business. I was 19 and I was studying in Boston. Finished 2 out of 4 years, and I came to India for a month, and I was supposed to go and do an internship at a tech startup. And we had a robbery in the office, and Dad was under a lot of pressure. We found out who did it, but we were a very small business then, and a couple of senior people resigned. So I said, instead of doing a tech startup internship, I'll work in my dad's business and do the internship, work for him. He was under a lot of pressure. So that's how I got in business, and I never went back to college. So I'm still a college dropout, joined at the age of 19. When I started was actually when my dad was here alone. And then me and my sister actually started the business together because she had just graduated. So she joined the design team. And from the first day, my dad gave over all the sales and the marketing and also the accounts to me, because that was not his forte. He enjoyed production. He enjoyed being with people. Somehow I was doing computer science and management. Never thought myself looking at ever doing a sales function, but as be it, started to expand the business. When I joined the business, we had only 7 customers. So it was not like a whole lot to do, but at the beginning, there was a lot of learning. And because I was supposed to temporarily stay in the business and then go back to college, there were no real expectations, right? So I was there only to sort of learn and then help dad and then go back. I think from that perspective, I think my joining in the business was very easy because, I was more an outsider coming temporarily.
But not expected to join at that time.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you joined, right, was it like that you'll have to go back someday to finish your, education, or on the day one itself you realize that, okay, I have to be here and I might have to give up on my education. Was it something like that, or?
Well, actually, when I was in high school, we had Amitabh Bachchan who would come, at a convocation. And he said something very interesting. He said, I wasted 3 years of my college life. I wish I had done acting right after school. And I don't know why that always stuck to me. And then I was a techie back then. And all the people I looked up to, Bill Gates, Michael Dell, Larry Page. I mean, you talk about the tech founders, they were all college dropouts. So I was like, if you're a college dropout, the chances of success are higher than being holding a degree or being an MBA. So I think maybe that influenced my decision quite a bit. So my sisters were after my life to go back. A lot of people were persuading my father to send me back because they were like, if he's not educated, he'll not get married. So, there were reasons to send me back, but I think I somehow managed to just stay back.
Did your father ever ask you to, if you want to stay back or do you want to go back again? Or did he tell you that you need to be here, now that you have started your journey, so you need to continue here?
No,
Any
he
conversations with your father?
fortunately he never asked me to stay or never asked me to leave.
Okay.
He did, though under my sister's influence, I think, tell me a few times that I should finish my college. But he never ever pressurized me on either side. Yeah.
So, can you help me tell your day one, because your entry was so sudden, right? I mean, if I was in second year and if I was supposed to join business, I would have probably said no and gone back, But since it was a difficult time and difficult situation, your entry would not, your day one, in fact, would not have been the same as, my day one, right? So, can you tell me something about like how the day one or the week one of your induction was?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of mixed feelings. One was obviously I was trying to sort of just be a part of the business somehow to see what's happening. But the goal actually in the beginning was just to find out who's done this, right? Who's stolen the money. And I think I was using my engineer's head to figure out what all can we do to sort of crack the case. It took a while, but we did. We were able to find out, who did it. So yeah, I mean, the first few weeks, I think I was quite lost, to be very honest. Because I was obsessed with computers back then, and to be looking at so many different things, in business and numbers and sales and carpets. And to me, when I joined, we did only traditional designs. So when I looked at different carpets, I was like, oh my God, ये तो सारे एक जैसे दिखते हैं, So I think the first few months were definitely difficult.
So, like, I'll tell you about my day one. Because we are into a very simple business, right? There are students who are coming because there is a trigger for them to come. They want to make a career for themselves. And then we have teachers who are going to deliver that education, right? I have seen that journey only as a teacher, as a student, right? I myself am not a teacher, right? And on my day one, I was very clear that I do not want to teach also. So my day one was very confusing because neither I was capable enough to be a teacher, and I mean, unlike you, my business already had finance department, HR department, marketing department, and relevant heads for them. So it was very difficult to find my place. But I think since you were given those responsibilities on day one itself, I can imagine how difficult it would be just from the sheer perspective of responsibilities, right? So that was my day one at my business. But before you joined and took over these responsibilities, who were looking after these functions, right? Like you said, your father was purely and mainly into production, right? So were there more people from the family into the business who were looking at different aspects of the businesses, or it was sort of, maybe it could be a small business that time, so your father could single-handedly take it forward. So were there more people who were looking at these functions before you joined?
Yeah, so we had two parts of the business. One was the US part and the India part. So two of my sisters had joined business, one in 2001 and one in 2003, I believe. So several years before I joined. And my eldest sister, she was commuting between India and US. So she was obviously involved quite a bit in the India business. So she was helping my father already. So when I joined, I think, I mean, unlike your, how you've joined slightly larger business. When I joined, we were a very small team, and we had about 40 people total, working here. So it was slightly, I don't know how to say it, easier because you were figuring out things and you were growing. I think if I remember correctly, the year I joined, our revenues were 18 crores.
Oh,
so quite a small business back then. Yeah.
Okay, so from that journey to expanding to so many cities, that journey you have lived along with your sisters, which is also the second generation in the business, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. No, that's interesting to know because we also have three more second generation people involved in the business, right? And all of us joined at different times. But like you said, our business was large enough to accommodate everyone, right? Even though we were not clear of what we will do because the business was running so fantastically. So, of course, when you joined business, right, there's a lot of sudden decision making that would have come to you, right? How would have that sort of created any disagreements, conflict among the family, between your siblings, etc.? Can you just help me understand some of that?
Yeah, so actually, when I joined, I think the first couple of years I would say were very peaceful, right? Because I was only learning, absorbing. And then as we started to grow the business and it started to slightly become larger, I think that's where there were some differences that started to pop up, between. And I think in family businesses, as you might know better than me, I think if you have a disagreement in the office, that comes on the dining table also,
Correct.
right? And I think for the lack of a better word, I would say there was a lot of miscommunication. And this lasted for several years within our family. And I think when there's a lot of miscommunication, it also leads to a little bit of distrust. The biggest advantage, see, we have as a family business, is that you can trust the other person. And now, because of lack of communication or misunderstandings or whatever, if that continues for a longer time, that sort of starts breaking. And I think that happened a little bit in our business, and we were trying to find solutions. And I attended a couple of courses, but also a lot of our friends and family, they recommended us to hire a family consultant. So there are people who are family business consultants, right?
Yeah.
So people who specialize in only helping family businesses. And we hired one of the best ones in the country who was very highly recommended by several families. And to be honest, it was a complete blessing, right? Because in family businesses, there are a lot of unsaid things, right? With siblings. So
I second that, yeah.
Yeah, you're assuming
Yeah.
that you've not said it, but you understood it. But when you have somebody who's helped you understand and create a lot of, and we realized that there was just so much confusion and everybody has a good intention, but just because of lack of communication, there was a lot of confusion that was created. So we built a family constitution. We built a whole system around how, as a business, as a family business, we will communicate. And doing calls, regular calls, and updating each other and all of that. And that helped our family tremendously.
Because in lot of decisions that you don't agree with, it always is perceived as that the disagreement is not just with the decision, but with the family member, right? And that is, I think, one of the downsides of the family businesses, that it looks like you're not disagreeing with my decision, you're disagreeing with me, right? And if that happens for a longer time, it looks like, there is a tussle going on now, right? तो वो in a Hindi slang, if I have to say, वो कहते हैं ना कि वो मनभेद नहीं होना चाहिए पर मतभेद हो चलता है business में. So it sort of goes into that zone.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think in our case, it was exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then that's how they were saying that how do you keep the business separate from the family, right? And, as family, you love each other, you have respect, You might not agree on some decisions. And how do you agree to disagree also on decisions, right? As a family business, and how do you take those decisions?
So the constitution that you're talking about, did it capture the flow of the decision-making process, or what did it capture essentially? Like
everything. So here we talk about like how are big decisions made. If somebody disagrees, how we have a family council, and then how do we make sure that if somebody is taking a decision, if some people are disagreeing, how does that happen? Who has the final call, and how does that work? So we all agreed on saying this is a mechanism that works for everybody, and this is fair, right? So I might say that I want to certainly get in this X business. And then, two siblings are agreeing or two are disagreeing, and I'm thinking this is with me, this is with me. And so all of that is gone now, right? Now you have a process. We've said, okay, this is how it should work, and it's very objective. So everybody feels it's fair. Nobody's feeling that, this person is anti me, that's why he's not supporting me, or this and that, right? So the business decision is separate. And then obviously we know that as family, we all love each other and we care for each other, which is separate. Yeah.
But to convince people to, agree on a constitution, that would have been challenging, right? Is it?
Well, in our case, it was not challenging. It took a lot of time because you go through a lot of information and a lot of things. But I think these consultants have done this for so many families that they're also quite good at doing it, right? And for us, I mean, overall, I think we've always been very, we've been it's been easy to work with the siblings. We're not like one family where it's been very difficult and we disagree on everything and there's a lot of politics. Unfortunately, we've been slightly more amicable. Just that there were a lot of confusions which, got solved. And then we figured out ways on how. And, I actually attended a course at ISB on family business 3 days.
Great.
And then there I saw a lot of these very large families and how they'd build constitutions and how the wives and other people were also part of the constitution, how they met and how they were running like 20 businesses or 40 businesses and 40 people, 20 people, 60 people in the family constitution. And that really opened up, a perspective of saying that, it's not about getting stuck in the smaller things, but if you have a proper process in place, this can really be solved, and there are professionals to help you do that.
Yeah, because a lot of times the real issue of discussion goes away and the emotional issues comes to the layer, right? And as a family, you just get stuck there.
100%.
Right? But if something of the constitution is not get implemented, or does not, if someone does not follow a proper process of what is being written in the constitution, then how does it work out? Like,
So the constitution also says that if somebody doesn't follow, what are the
consequences?
consequences? Absolutely, yeah.
I think I'll need that contact of yours for who have consulted you.
Absolutely.
Because I think we are 8 people in the business, right? And though it's a large business to accommodate everyone, but often there are thoughts, ideas which each one has. Of course, not all the ideas would be implemented, but at the same time, when the ideas are not implemented, the other side of the group would always feel that, yaar, मैंने जो बोला वो नहीं हो रहा है, पर उसने जो बोला वो हो रहा है.
Absolutely.
And that is a very common thing if you have multiple people operating in the same business, right? So if that constitution can actually sort of handle these sort of feelings, conflicts, etc., maybe the entire focus of the founder group can be on just growing the business and accommodating in each other's way of working, right?
Absolutely. The whole idea is oneness, as they start with, saying how does everybody as a family remain one, and then how do you grow the business at the same time. So yeah, I mean, I think for any large family business, I highly recommend helping, taking professional consult. We have a lot of these jugaad family friends who help.
Yeah.
And sometimes, not
say who
everybody is
have done
very
it all.
comfortable with them, right? Because they feel that they're on one side versus the other. But the family consultants have really gotten into the science of it, and then they know the art of how to get it done, right? So for larger families, I think it's a must have.
Especially it shapes up the decision making and makes it pretty quick and clear.
Absolutely.